friends, and welcome to another video lesson from DBO Stocks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is in the playlist called Series Fun with SQL, and here we'll be learning how about the most frequently used pseudocolumns in Oracle SQL. There are many of them, but we'll be focusing on just three, which are really very much in use on a daily basis. Okay, a pseudocolumn is not an actual column in a table, but works a bit like it, because you can query its value, but you cannot do an insert, update, or delete of its value. Oracle has a good number of these pseudocolumns, but we'll be focusing on these three first. First is sysdate. Sysdate means system date, and usually it will give you today's date. I say usually because it really depends on the date that was set in the database server. So what if somebody said it wrongly, or for whatever reason, or it is pointing or referring to the system date in another country, then it will not give you today's date in your local location, right? So, but normally it will give you today's date. When querying the value of sysdate, you must either select it from an existing table or from the dual table. Okay, so let's just show you what I mean. So select sysdate from dual. This is the pseudocolumn over here. It's called pseudocolumn because it doesn't really exist in the table you're selecting it from. For instance, here we're using the dual table. Okay, if I do Shift F4 here, wait. Right, okay, so the table structure of dual it only consists of one column called dummy, and it obviously doesn't have the column called sysdate. That's the reason why it's being called a pseudocolumn, okay? But when we query this and we query the value of sysdate, we'll definitely get it, okay, even though it doesn't exist in that table. Okay, so system date, the value of sysdate is the date today, 12 November 2024, okay? Now I will show you about the use of this sysdate being queried from a real table, not from the dual table, okay? So an existing table. So this here, I am using the table called employees, and if you look at the table structure of this, the same thing, that you will not be seeing the column or any column called sysdate in it. If you go through that, if you scan through it, you will not see a column called sysdate, exactly the reason why it's called a pseudocolumn. But even though that sysdate doesn't exist in this table, you can also query it from this table, you see, as if it exists in that table. That's why it's called pseudocolumn. Okay, so you can see the first few columns are actual columns in the table employees, like give a name, surname, birth date. But this column here, sysdate, is a pseudocolumn of Oracle SQL. Okay, so it is in some other container, some other storage area, not in this actual table. So that is sysdate, which is the first pseudocolumn you have learned. Unless you've been watching some of my other videos, then you would have encountered for sure sysdate in one of the examples. The second one we'll be learning is row num, which is short for row number. So its value is a number which indicates the order in which Oracle selects the row from a table or displays it. So you can use row num to limit the number of rows fetched by a query. Okay, let's look at this example here. Select asterisk for employees. So definitely this will show you everything, all the records in that table. So there are 5 records in this table. Now I will show you how to use row num in this situation. So if I say where row num equals 1, I only want to display the row number 1 here, which is this one. Okay, so I will execute this. It should only show me this record I have highlighted. Okay, so that's what it's showing. But otherwise, if you want to display not just one row, but 2, 5, whatever the number is, but meaning not everything, then you will be using, instead of an equality operator, you'll be using the less than. So if I wanted to display just the 3 records, look at this. If I only wanted to display these 3 records, then I would say where row num is less than 4, because what's less than 4 is primarily is 3. It will be 3 first. So I will execute this. It will only display to me or return to me the first 3 rows you are seeing here. So that's Ruiz, this guy, and this guy, Pasternak, Sotomayor. Okay, so exactly that. So row num, again, is one of its usages is to limit the number of rows being returned or being displayed. Now let's move on to one of also the frequently used pseudocolumns in Oracle SQL, that's row ID. And I have another video in some of the playlists in this channel wherein I am touching on this and differentiating it with row num. But here you're also seeing that explanation anyway. Okay, so row ID, it is a unique identifier for each row in a table in Oracle, in an Oracle table, okay? So we'll be reusing the same table we have used in the previous examples. Row ID. Select row ID, give a name, surname, birth date, sys date. Okay, I'll remove this sys date here. From employees, let's focus on row ID. This is the pseudocolumn you'll be learning in this example, okay? So the rest of the columns, give a name, surname, birth date, all exist in employees table, okay? So give a name, surname is here, birth date is here, okay? But you will also, again, see that row ID, because it's a pseudocolumn, it doesn't exist in this table, okay? It's not there, but it will just display. Okay, again, these columns here, given name, surname, and birth date are all actual columns in the table called employees, but row ID is a pseudocolumn. It doesn't actually exist in the table. But what it does is a row ID is a unique identifier for a row of data in an Oracle table. So if you will look at the values of this row ID, each one is unique. And it is no surprise that one of its usages, this row ID, is to identify and to remove duplicate rows in a table. Okay, so we can touch on that with a deep dive in some other video. But for this video, we have just we only talked about the probably the most frequently used pseudocolumns in Oracle SQL. And these are sysdate, row num, and row ID. Thank you for watching and listening. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe. I'll be seeing you in the next video.